Hello Facebook, and hello eventually YouTube. How are you doing? Good to see you all. It is Entrepreneur Business Live Week, so I'm looking forward to doing that tomorrow in London. It'll be a very exciting time. And of course today it is Startup Business Q&A, episode 116. So thanks everyone for coming and for joining in. I'm just letting people kind of flood in at the moment. And look, we've got so many wonderful questions to answer. We're going to cover networking today. Effective networking. I think the reason I thought I'd bring this one up is it's really good timing with the with the event right now. So I'm just going to get the mic on. Now, what's interesting about this is that some people have a keenness to network and want to know how, and other people have a bit of an aversion to it and really don't want to. So if you have a question on networking, do let me know. I'm really excited about this one because it's not one we've done for some time, actually. It's nice. We're kind of moving to a place. I'm not saying we've done it all, but with this being at week 116 of the show, it means we've covered a lot of themes more than once. So it's quite nice to revisit them, I think. And so the Entrepreneur Business Live event is tomorrow night at 6:30 London time. You can probably squeak in at the moment. If you still want to go to therichardmoore.com. But if not, if you can't make it, go to the Entrepreneur Business Entrepreneur Business group in Facebook, and you can watch all the speakers for free. The theme is LinkedIn because it's so hot right now, so we'll be covering that. In the meantime, hello Sherry, hello Eileen, hello Daniel, hello Ferdus. Also, those of you on Instagram and YouTube decided to not go live. Hello Lance as well, nice to see you here. Just make sure you check out two things as well. Firstly, on therichardmoore.com, you can actually listen to the podcast of this event, which goes out typically later on in this day. It's also on SoundCloud. But the other thing is that each week, we've been doing it for 6 or 7 weeks now, maybe even a bit more. We have the Entrepreneur Business Bulletin, which is actually our newsletter each week. And with that in mind, it allows us to, I'm just checking something going on there. No problem. So yeah, with that in mind, we have, there we go. You can see a better camera angle. The Entrepreneur Business Bulletin is a digest weekly. It's like a weekly newsletter that goes out each Monday. I think it's about 10 a.m. Pacific time. So you can get it then. If you sign up on therichardmoore.com, if you scroll down a bit, you can register for it. And it's great because it covers, I feel, the content that is done the best that I've produced this week. But more importantly, I suppose for many, it's got news that is really valuable around the social space and using it for business. Also, I always put together in there some interesting areas that I've read or that we've researched in terms of other things people have put together. So other interesting insights or ideas that I've read in the previous week. So thanks to everyone who is checking that out, and of course those of you who receive it. But the richardmoore.com, you can register for that. Let's get into the questions. Again, this is on effective networking. So if you have any questions on networking, do let me know. Let's start with Daniel Nunes. I think you're live on Facebook here as well, so thank you for joining in today. The question is, how would an entrepreneur who gets stuck in the L redirect their energy and focus on the C in CEL? So just a bit of background for you guys. CEL is a thing I put together years ago, and the idea behind it was it stands for customers and cash flow, essentials, and things that are to do with your line of work. And those three kind of areas are how you break up all the tasks you have to do in a day, and you do them in that order. So you lead with customers and cash flow first, so things that can close for business. Then you move to essentials, so things that absolutely have to be done. Notice how that comes second to actually closing things and bringing on board new business, more clients. And then thirdly, other things that are to do with your line of work and focus. So if you have anything else that sits outside of that, it just doesn't get done or doesn't make the list until such time as all that list completed. By the way, that never happens. Or it becomes urgent and therefore goes into the essential bit. So Daniel's asking, how would an entrepreneur who gets stuck in the L, they are tasks to do with just your line of work and just things to do with your business, redirect their energy and focus onto the C, so customers and things in that approach? Firstly, without question, every single day, something I was taught when I was working at businesses, and now something I always have with my business, is that every day you have to ask yourself the question, where is my next customer coming from? If you just closed someone it was wonderful. We had another person just close a deal literally about 15 minutes before I went live today. That person that you just closed has just become or your best contract or your best contact or your best piece of business out there has just gone. You've disappeared. So now you need something else. Every day you have to ask that question, where's the next customer coming from? I feel there should be at least one action each day that focuses on onboarding new customers or clients. And if you've got no irons in the fire there, without question, that action should be the idea of kind of sowing seeds. So for example, you could set yourself some kind of KPI, a key performance indicator, something along the lines of each day, first thing. This is what I used to do, by the way. Each day, first thing, I will go to LinkedIn and I will connect with 5 people who have mutual contacts with me, and I will send them each a message. Not asking them for business or anything like that, but to engage in conversation and get the ball rolling. Because if I can do that each day, 5 is nothing. You might not get anything from it. You probably won't, because statistically a lot of people can't be bothered. 2 people won't see it maybe. Maybe 1 might get back to you. But across a week, of course, then instead of just the 5, you've now got a load. You've got 35 because it's across 7 days. And then, of course, across a month, suddenly we're getting really exciting because you've got 150 people then who've engaged in you, that you've engaged with. So that is a great way of doing something each day. Just at least starting some low-level engagement with customers. But I really strongly feel that you should have an action that is written down each day to focus on onboarding a new customer, and B, you should be doing that thing first. Now, relating this to today's session on networking, my suggestion, Daniel, is that that thing could involve asking yourself, when's my next event, as well as when's my next customer. For me, with every event, I always end up with a new piece of business as a result. Maybe I close someone new, or I use the event to warm someone up to close something later on, or perhaps I use that event to impress them enough, like tomorrow hopefully, so that they will decide to come again the next time. The exciting thing about Entrepreneur Business Live tomorrow in London is that so many new faces have signed up. And as a result, if they enjoy it, they'll come again on November 7th, which is exciting to see. That renewal or repeat business is everything. So have a KPI, maybe 5 connections a day or something like that. Hopefully that helps, Daniel. Give me a thumbs up, guys, if that helps. But that CEL approach, you can find it on YouTube. If you type CEL Richard Moore, you'll see the idea. And I just think leading with customers and cash flow first, ahead of your most essential tasks. Obviously, if like house is on fire, put it out, right? But otherwise, what you think is essential typically isn't quite as essential as that. So put the new customer in first. It's often far more effective. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Let's kill it and see if we can try again, because it's been utterly ridiculous and deciding not to go live at all. But we're here on a live on Facebook and Instagram. So like I say, this is Startup Business Q&A, episode 116. Each week we focus on different questions with a different theme, and today is on effective networking. So if you have a question about networking, then ask me, please, and I'll answer it for you in the comments. If you're watching retrospectively or listening on the podcast, stick a comment with a question in any way. I'll happily round back and answer them for you. Zach Houston's asked, and this is one, I want you to give me some kind of thumb up or something if this is something you've thought of in the past. How do you build a network without physical networking, so going out there? It's difficult because it's not difficult to do. I'm just saying it's interesting, my response here, because firstly, I personally think you should go out there and meet people face to face. I think it's not a big ask for once a month, unless you live in the middle of nowhere. And to be fair, I know that Zach lives in the Isle of Man, and so possibly that's not as easy. Maybe that's a reason for his question. If you can get to an event maybe once a month or even once a quarter, it's so worthwhile, at the very least, to help groom your own abilities when it comes to face-to-face work. But he's probably asking because he's a little bit more remote. And his actual question isn't, should I do it? His question is, how do you build a network without physical networking? So let's look at that. All in on communities. That's what it is. So for example, this is a great place to network by going live each week to start with, no one shows up every single week. Well, a few people do, but some people don't do it every single week. Some people have come to a few, some people don't go to them every single one, then they show up again after time. But over time, enough people, hundreds of them, will see these live shows. Now, by working in the right way, by doing these things live, what we are able to do is say to ourselves, right, there is a mass or an audience or a community of people who are, starting to come into orbit around us. And if we can build that, and it takes consistency, it's about showing up every week for a year, 2 years, something like that. You build a mass or a body of people who are very kindly loyal and stick around if you have something to say. I think communities are everything. And let's give you some practical value on what you can also do. You need to go to where a body of people are who have similar set of interests. That might be because they're located in a certain place, or because they have a certain set of kind of ideas or are into certain things. You might be into video games. So you go to a forum, for example, like Reddit, and you engage with people there. Now, again, it's about showing up and consistently. So one of the reasons why, for instance, on Facebook, and I think really a good example of it, because I'm putting more weight there now, is on LinkedIn, is because every day, multiple times, I will show up. And it's calculated, but it's the case right now. This time, go and answer these questions or go and engage in community for a bit. And it'll be a set 20 minutes where I just go all in on commenting on other people's posts, on their comments, on their conversation, things like that. Because you need people to say, oh, it's you again, in a positive way, and say, oh, hi, it's nice to see you again, or, to start thinking at least, Richard is here, he has something to say, he's always showing up with something of value to say. Don't just throw a comment down that's high, or it's like great post or thanks so much, something like that. Put something meaningful in. Building community like that takes a bit more time, but it does mean that you can network really effectively. Can I give you an example of it working? Yes. Right now, if I look at January, still working on an event. I'm kind of doing some last minute negotiating on stuff, so we'll have a date for you soon. But in January, Entrepreneur Business Live will be going to the US as well, so it'll be in New York. Now, that event has already, even though people haven't bought anything yet, we've actually got so many people who have said, we are going to that. Just let me know the date and I will make sure I can go. So like literally dozens of people saying we're going to make it. And the reason why is because I've been building that community since March in LinkedIn, and it's every single week there'll be a couple of phone calls with people. There'll be DMs with people all the time at things like, for example, DMs with, people like when I'm waiting for the coffee to boil or something like that. So whatever I'm doing, I'm always thinking, do I have time to maybe jump into the community and engage with people? Enough of them are based over in New York or can get to New York that now, because I've shown up enough, they want to attend the event as well. So it's it feels like a really long play, but you reap the rewards when it comes to selling something. Same with my courses. I think I've mentioned this in the past with my courses. By getting a body of people who are keen on your stuff and see that you're bringing value and good value each week and each day, it means when you then release something and ask for if anyone's interested, people have already validated whether or not they buy into you by previous actions, such as watching your stuff and so on. So that community engagement is everything. It's far more important, Zach, than the content you put out. If I only could put out content or engage in communities, so writing comments on posts and things like that, I would choose the latter. Content is fantastic for positioning. It's great to, of course, get your values, message, and your philosophies out there. This is why I do this live Q&A, for example. However, it is a mistake to think that content on its own is enough, because the crucial part is that you actually work that community as well. Not in a mercenary way, but work it as I said this so many times, the best way to describe it is get down from your throne, okay, and go and engage with the people themselves. Otherwise, you're putting out content and you're leaving them be. I think it's a mistake. And somebody said this to me in the past, because they're nervous about how it may act or how it may go or what people's reactions are. I get that, but putting out content then ghosting it for 24 hours because you just don't want to know how it goes is a mistake. What I in fact do is when I post a piece of content, I then babysit it for a while. sometimes up to an hour if it goes well. So I'll put it out there, and there's some people maybe I've tagged because I feel it's relevant to them. I'm involved in an engagement pod as well, for example, on LinkedIn. And then when people jump in and comment, I can get there straight away. It obviously helps the algorithm as well, but also gives people timely responses. So hopefully that helps, Zach. There are a couple of things I would do. And you know, if you're an enthusiast for something in particular, why not build some kind of a group like I did? You know, it's funny because the group on Facebook, the Entrepreneur Business Group, it grows every day organically. People find it every day. I'm lucky enough to have the URL Entrepreneur Business Group on Facebook. But, you know, it gets found all the time, and people, you know, they show up because I show up, and we have wonderful conversations and engagement and giveaways and things like that. But I built it like 3 years ago, I think it was, as the 8-Step Startup Group. Then it evolved about a year or so ago to Entrepreneur Business Group. And by having a place where I could bring people, over time, there's only 3,600 people there, which is a lot, but also not many, given I could have thrown thousands and thousands and thousands of people in, but it's growing in a really good organic way. I think what's interesting is that, you know, it's a place, again, where you can hone your message and push out your philosophy in the right way, and people really get into it if it's of value to them. I think there's nothing wrong with building a little engagement group of your own, because then you can talk about your thing a lot more, and then invite people that come into orbit around you. So if that helps. A question here from Brandy Holloway. Again, so just to let anyone know who's joining in a bit later on the stream, this is on effective networking. So do ask me a question if you have one on this subject. So Brandy Holloway's asked, Richard, I want to host large networking events here in Virginia and DC area that has a bit of a twist, not just talking or pitching and drinking and business cards. Okay, so I have a few ideas, but I'm open to suggestions on how to attract others who are looking for others, who are looking for others that want to contribute, collaborate and level up. Any ideas or suggestions? I don't know what the twist is, or are you asking what should the twist be? I think the twist should be something you come up with, to be honest, something you want to do that's different. I know one of my friends, Judy Fox, who's going to be doing Entrepreneur Business Live with me in January in New York, ran an event which was a networking event, but it was a lot about having fun. So I think they had talking and networking, but it was punctuated by, like, they put music on and everyone had to get up and have a bit of a dance session or something like that. And they had, like, you know, horns and party poppers and balloons and things. So it was very much a party network. And actually she said it's interesting because you have grown-ups in a networking session really enjoying themselves because it was much more fun, and people are, you know, they enjoy that kind of thing as well. So it's an interesting twist. Find out what your twist should be, and maybe if people have ideas here, they could put it on the comments. But you know, leverage whatever the twist is as the reason why. But again, start with conversations with people. Like I mentioned at the top of this with the first question from Daniel, look at maybe every day engage with brand new people and get conversations going. Not about an event, but about warming up a relationship between the two, you and that other person, because then when you move to a place when an event is ready to go, you can start telling them about that as well. And that's certainly how I got traction with the Entrepreneur Business Live. Is the first people I went to were the people I knew who thought I was a good guy. Do you see what I mean? So that's a really good way of doing it. I think that you know, if you think about where you're based, warm up your local allies as well. So you're writing here that you're meeting with Judy this month. That's perfect. So if she's involved, she's in that general area because she's in Virginia, then, you know, engage with her. That's a perfect kind of example of someone who is in the area, so she can be a voice that helps you spread the word as well. So look at people who are relevant by location as well as by interest, because they're people who could attend but also spread the word. That's really important, I suppose. It's very easy to focus on a community and network with people who are relevant, but then they're based all over the world. What you also need is people who are local to you. It tends to work very well. So in London, few though the LinkedIn creator network is, there's still those that are building networks in London who are also creating content on LinkedIn, for example, they're all invited to tomorrow's event because, of course, they are highly relevant. So I've made a point of seeking them out and engaging them as much as I can. Okay, so that's an important way of doing things. I hope that helps a bit. Look at your local community. That's a way to get the ball rolling. And then you can brainstorm with them. What's our twist going to be? Also, do you even need a twist? Because it could be that actually there's just not enough of these kind of events going on. And weirdly, in London, people have been saying, you know what, there's not enough of the entrepreneur style events, networking events like yours, Richard. I was stunned. I thought surely there's quite a few, but of the format we have. So that's an interesting thing. One of the twists we have is that we have a charity partner. So this month it's Make-A-Wish. So donation from the ticket money will go to them. There's another twist, like it streams to the Entrepreneur Business Group and things like that. It's just interesting ways of doing it. Bring your own vibe to it. I think the model of speakers and networking, or a Q&A or a panel or something like that, and networking is never a bad thing. It tends to work really well. One of the other twists of mine is all the beer is free all night. That tends to go down quite well. Okay, so yeah, some ideas for you. Another question here from Daniel Nunes. What can I do to coordinate a mastermind event here in Phoenix? I really think it's the same kind of thing, Daniel. So what I'm saying here is, warm up those in Phoenix. Also, just be calculated about your connections. Think about who is in the space, who would be interested in what you do, who isn't in Phoenix. Engage with them and get them talking about it. Like, there's some amazing people online. A guy over in LA who's got, close to 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. He's well thought of, and he's posting about my event, tomorrow's event. In case some of his network that are in London might be able to go to it or be aware of it. I think that's marvellous. That's an example of what happens is if when you engage with new people, you make sure that they're people who have an interesting network, who is active and who are doing things. And you combine that set of people with those who are physically local as well, because the thing is, Daniel, one of the considerations with a physical networking event is, of course, people can't make it sometimes. Sure, there's the date, but also the restriction of location. So you want to go half and half with also engaging with people who are in your local space. So in Phoenix, for example, who's moving in Phoenix? Who's doing stuff? The head of my newsletter, Mona Nyree, so Mona and Nyree, hope she won't mind the shout out, is in Phoenix as well, I believe, a lot of the time. So you should connect with her. She's ideal for this kind of thing, and you could perhaps talk about that. But I think that it's a really ideal place to, ideal thing to do is look locally first. Maybe there's a LinkedIn local that you could engage with too, and attend that, and then you can start speaking to people about your mastermind. But when they're local and they like you because you warm them up, it's much more straightforward to close them off for your event, rather than hoping they can fly across the country. US is a big place, as you well know. Okay, one last question, unless there's anything else anyone wants to ask, by Adam Mosley here. So his question is, Richard, what are your thoughts or feelings on pods? So what I think he's talking about here is engagement pods. Now, engagement pods, the concept is it's a little group. Maybe it's on WhatsApp, or it's a little group on Facebook, or a little group on Messenger, on, say, LinkedIn. And it's a collection of people that understand that content relies to a degree on a certain level of virality that comes out of people engaging with it properly and timely, but also people who have active followers who have meaning behind, the people that follow them. And what essentially the way it works is when you post a piece of content, you put your link into that pod conversation, so into that group. So like a WhatsApp group, imagine that. Imagine there's me and 4 of you in a WhatsApp group. You post your link, say to Facebook, to your piece of content into that group. Everyone clicks it the moment they see it. They write a comment, they like it, they engage with it. And what that does is it helps kind of kickstart the algorithm and say, hey, there's stuff going on here. Now, is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? It is both, depending on the group you join. I am currently in 2 pods. Both are very LinkedIn related. One is more kind of to do with LinkedIn people on Instagram. And the way I look at it is that you need to be careful which ones you join, because often there's a commitment there, which is when you join, you commit to engaging in every single post, and ideally within the first hour that it's sent. So if you can get something out there, then that's a good idea for people to comment on. But also, you really need to go in on other people's content as well, which is good. You know, that builds a good community. But I mean, I've been in ones in the past where there's just too many people in it, like 100, and so you can do the best you can do, but you're never going to get through them all, and you tend to find that some of your content can get lost, and it's too much of a commitment. There are other ones where people post too much, so they'll post 3 times a day, and then they put that in that pod and hope that people are going to do something with it. But then there are other ones where it becomes a bit of a chore because you post your content and you shove your link into the engagement pod, but no one actually engages with it. So, you know, the thing is that people ask me to join pods because I have active following, if you look at LinkedIn, for example, and they want to leverage that. And I get it, because that's the whole point of it. Make sure you're joining pods with people who have a decent amount of following. Because if you have, you know, basically no followers, and you join a pod with a load of other people with basically no followers, well, it's better than nothing, but it might be a big commitment to not get you very far. The bigger you get, the more selective you should be about the pod you join, because if you can join the ones where it's the elite, it can really propel your posts really, you know, again, in a kickstart sense, it can really kick your posts on. So in the first hour, you can get a load of engagement and it can really move things on for you. So I think it's a good idea, but just watch out, because you know, you may well find if you've got a lot of active followers that you're going to get asked a lot to join pods. It's very easy to say yes, but I'm very wary about committing to something like that and not delivering. And the last thing I want to do is be that guy that posts my stuff but doesn't engage in others. So a smaller group can often be a better one. I think they're a great idea in principle, but just be careful, because sometimes, you know, you're joining with people where their visibility is crap and you're not going to get any results from that. That's the thing. Choose wisely. Maybe a couple are worth joining, but I said 3 starts being a bit too many in my opinion. So I would look at it that way. Should you be in them? Well, go try them out. I've found them to be quite effective, but being very careful about which ones I join. So look at who else is in it and research them. You know, who are their followers? Do they get any engagement? Do they post regularly as well? What are the rules too? Is it you have to always engage with everyone's post because you're not going to be able to do it all the time? Is it that you can post more than once because some people want to spam that group and it's just too much? So just think hard. And also the other thing is, are the people who are in that group actually aligned with you? Because the members of the group might not be so relevant to you, and then of course they're engaging with your content and their network doesn't represent the kind of audience you're trying to target. So it's worth being calculated if you're going to put that commitment in. But hopefully that helps. Thank you so much everyone who's joined in. Just a brief one today. Good to see everyone here. Daniel, you've written, your hair is looking fabulous, by the way. I put a comment on Facebook about this. Someone that had a problem with my hair. It's actually not a great haircut I had recently, so I will change that soon. But thank you for noticing. Anyway, have a great day, everyone. It's been a real pleasure. And as I said, make sure you check out the Entrepreneur Business Group tomorrow. We have the live stream of the Speakers from Entrepreneur Business live. And that's all on Facebook. In addition to that, later today, the newsletter is going out, the weekly newsletter. Go to therichardmoore.com now, scroll down a bit and you can register for the newsletter so you receive it. I think it's at 10 a.m. Pacific time today it will go out. But otherwise, have a great day. Thanks so much, everyone on Instagram. Just end live video there. And also thanks everyone on Facebook. Looking forward to catching you all a bit later on with more information about Entrepreneurs Business Live. And thanks as always to all of you for watching. It really means a lot to me. Take care.